This is Jim Bratton Podcast, a podcast exploring his personal interests, interviews with artists and musicians, as well as other creators, an opinion or two, or more. Poetry and prose, ambient sound, binaural and ASMR, audio produced for meditation and relaxation, experimental sound or music, and those exploring aesthetic boundaries. You may enjoy some, or all, or none. Now, here's Jim.
Well, hello, this is Jim Bratton, and today we're talking to Joe Bird. Joe, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And what we just heard was a piece that we collaborated on. So, full disclosure, Joe and I have worked together, and it's been a real pleasure, and I wanted to explore the creative process that you use as you put this together. But let's talk about this, our thunderstorm with a musical overlay.
Yeah.
How did, on that one, can we talk a little bit about your creative process before we talk about how you began in this business of music and in creative side? Can we talk about this last piece that we just heard?
Of course.
On that one, you heard the thunderstorm. You knew that was coming. And basically all we said was we'd like to have some underlying music for it. How long did it take in your mind to come up with a concept that you were going to implement?
Not long, because I'd already been working on a piece, an improv piece, that kind of went with what was going on with the storm, because you sent it to me before and I heard it and I said, oh, okay, this goes along with this fake Baroque, it's kind of like in the Baroque realm of sound. And I thought, well, it's going to maybe complement a thunderstorm. It's not going to overpower the rain and the sound of the storms. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to go with the flow. And yeah, I think the viola and the rumble of a storm and what frequencies that's at kind of matches the viola, because the viola is a little bit darker than the violin, a little deeper, a little richer. So it's not going to just cut through the storm. It's going to go with it. So, yeah, I'd already, it's kind of, you just sent me the right track at the right time.
Well, I was particularly impressed when we came in to actually record the track. You had some synchronous points in mind, and we scooted it around to make those synchronous points hit then. So, yeah, it was a lot of preparation. So your instrument is the electric viola?
Yes, that's what I currently kind of go towards is, yeah.
And you go by the Fiddle Witch?
Yes, Bird the Fiddle Witch.
How did that come about?
Well, I was going to try and do my own project. I had this idea. I was in, I grew up playing classical, and then I had, I was in Two-Star Symphony for over 10 years, and then I kind of just was ready to see what I could do on my own. And I kind of had this idea of doing a metal band, and just to see if it would happen, a trio, electric viola, bass, and drums, just see how that would go. And my friend, I was like, man, I don't know what I would call this project. And my friend Bo Beasley, he's an amazing musician. He's in a lot of metal bands. He just turned to me and he was like, you're the Fiddle Witch.
And you go, well, yes, I
And
know.
I was like, oh, that's it. Yeah. So
You touched upon some of the symphony work that you've done. Let's back up to the beginning then. Your initial interest in music and how that progressed and how you began to do things both experimentally and professionally.
My elementary had a pilot program, and they started orchestra. They had started kids in orchestra in 5th grade, and that was new. And, they were just looking to try it out, and I wanted to play the bass. My parents said, no, too big, too expensive. I was like, I want to play the cello. And they said, no. And I said, well, I'm not playing the violin because everybody plays the violin. They said, well, good, because we have this thing called a viola. And I was like, what's that? And so, but I'm glad that that's what was handed to me because it has high and low end, and I can fiddle in a band or I can play orchestra stuff. And it's more my personality too. I love it. So I went through high school. I did drop out of high school, but I was always good. I sucked at every other, math, any academic stuff, but I was always good in music. And then I just found my way to avant-garde one day in my early 20s, and I heard someone playing the violin, and I went out back, and I just saw Deborah Brown, and I was like, what are y'all doing? What is this? And they were doing a play out there, ballet in the back of avant-garde and Helios, whatever you want to call it. And then I started playing with them. Then I started playing with Margaret Lejeune, and we just kind of had a little trio string quartet, kind of garage rock. We just wrote our own stuff. So I did that for 10 years, and that grew. We met Jerry Ochoa, too, our violinist, and he'd been playing since he was 5. So we're all different levels. And we composed music for silent films, for the Museum of Fine Arts, we just did a whole bunch of silent films for different organizations and ballet. And
that was improv?
So, no, that was all written. We never had sheet music, so all the music was in our head. And then we became an 8-piece orchestra as well, and that really made us shine. So
all this is Houston-based.
This is all Houston, yeah. So that was a lot of work, and it was hard working after a while and paying the bills and also doing band stuff. It was a lot. It was a lot,
yeah.
But it was worth it. It was really amazing and really great.
With this is also leading edge for the time. You also ended up doing some collaboration, ended up taking you to New York. Tell me about that story.
Yeah, so we were just kind of like that weird little string quartet that was play rock venues, or we'd get hired for stuff. We'd just be all over the place, and we just wrote our own music, and it was just kind of unique, right? So Dominic Walsh he was the principal dancer for the Houston Ballet, I think for over 10 years, and he started his own company, Dominic Walsh Dance Theater, and he took a shine to us, and we started composing music for his original choreographed pieces, which was amazing. And he took us to New York one time for to work with the American Ballet Academy. So we got to practice there in New York in the studio with the dancers, and that was just beautiful and amazing. And we busked on the street in our free time, and we made some street money, and that and then we could go treat ourselves to a dinner, something other than our shoestring budget, which was like tortillas, eggs, peanut butter and jelly, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, staples.
We stayed with a really awesome friend that let us stay there for a month. So yeah.
This is a month-long assignment then, or a project.
Yeah. I think we're there for a month, and then we'd go back sometimes just to go and stay and play on the street, and so it was pretty neat. One time we got hired by Ogilvy,
the agency?
Yeah, we played their Halloween party, and they just heard us on the street, and so that was kind of like a cool. We got to go up there and play, so it was neat.
That's something.
Yeah.
Well, on the ballet side, what is it like to see your music as opposed to, in addition to hearing your music?
Yeah, that's something pretty special. That's my favorite medium to work with because, like you said, you see your music interpreted physically, and it's really beautiful and an honor. It's so amazing. It's pretty magical. So, and they're just like athletes, They're,
in your mind, when you compose, do you now see visually? Do you see body movement as well now when you compose, since you've done that already?
Well, the new stuff that I write now, I wrote some of it specifically, like maybe someone will pick it up and want to dance to it. Yeah. I mean, when I write, no, but I did compose some just because I was hoping. And then, of course, as you know, the Galveston Ballet Company did pick it up, and
Yes.
they did just recently, the last show I had. So that was, and I got to see my song again. So yeah, it's really neat.
What a great extension from one medium to another medium, and this is all young people.
Yes.
This last go around.
Yes, students, but they're so good. And oh my, the choreographer Janelle over there, she did the original choreograph, and it was just wow. There's my song. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah.
So you do some backing. Do you record a backing track prior to doing the performances? Can you take that's the nuts and bolts of your performance now? Single performance, solo performance.
Yeah, like so. What I do now is just me and my looping machine, and so I pre-record loops on my machine, and then I just hit play, and then I play live over it. So yeah.
So it's sort of multi-part, but all you then.
Yeah, I can just show up and play, and it's a little different than just a solo instrument. You know, I have a little backing track, and it fills up space, and it's just a little more fun.
What are you doing now? I know you do a lot of private gigs now. Is that mostly what you do on the performance side?
Well, now, since I moved to the island, 2019, I've been doing mainly, started basically with sidewalk sessions that Becky Major puts on across the proletariat for, but I do the art walk one. And that's what I started doing. And then now it's happening. What I wanted to happen is happening here on the island, where I get weird little gigs, and strange little places. And so, yeah, I get to play in historical buildings for various reasons, for various events.
Right.
And I love it. It's kind of like my little retirement, semi-retired musician plan here. It's chill. It's nice. I can just show up, play, and I love it.
I've seen you play in a number of spaces and acoustically diverse. What's it like, and how do you tune yourself for a space that you've never been in before that has its own unique set of acoustics? Maybe it's a large, hard-walled square space, or maybe it's got arches. What's that like to hear your music coming back at you the first time when you set up?
Oh, this is the pain of my existence. This is the fun part of playing the electric viola, is that, and you have your sound system set up, and you have, and I have some effects, reverb, but like you said, every place has its own beast, right? So, you gotta do it on the fly.
Wow.
It's really hard. Like when I did Fiddle Witch and the Demons of Doom, that was like every rock club was different. Everything was really just hard to rein in. So, and I don't have any frets on my instrument, so I got to be able to hear myself for sure. I can't just hear something. I have to hear in tune. Like I have to make sure I'm playing in tune. So, and I play by ear a lot. So, it's all right. I like studios. It's great.
Yeah,
it's very contained.
Well,
you play on the street, it bounces off the buildings, and you're like, hey, all right.
With no frets, does that mean that you have to be retuning where the position of a note is as you go because of the reflectivity or the resonance that comes back?
It's not because of that. It's just I have to listen to my backing track and then put my fingers down on the fingerboard, and I can tell if it's a little off or a little, like you have to micromanage your fingers and it by ear. Guitars have frets, so you can just slap your finger down.
You get a mark.
So this is all like, it's a little sharp. I need to pull my position back a little bit, so it's important for me to be able to hear.
There's a lot of processing going on in your brain simultaneously.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just thinking about this. You get a micro movement that you've got to do. That's a feedback kind of movement. In addition to the creative side, which is creating the piece in its entirety beforehand and then performing it, self-tuning as you go.
Yes. So I think if you're like if you're like a for real professional, you don't have to do that. You could probably have earplugs in and play it perfect, but I need the I need to be able to hear. Yeah.
Well, I think it's quite professional that you're willing to listen to yourself and adjust as necessary for the space.
Yeah.
And don't require a perfect space every time. You can't say, well, I
Yeah.
can't play this space because it didn't sound right.
Nah, you just got to go for it and just see what happens. So I like some places better than others, but I've just gotten used to just. So.
Well, let me ask another question. I've never asked you this before, but when you're performing in, say, a public venue or a club or something like that even, what happens if the audience becomes just loud or that? Have you ever been stuck someplace where the audience just didn't show the respect to the musician?
I could care less about that. I don't care.
Okay.
But when I did, it's funny because when I did play with my string quartet, one of the violinists, Deborah Brown, she was really good about. She would be like, shh, like she would shush everybody. It was so funny to me. She wanted the shush, because the string quartet. I don't know. It was pretty funny. I don't care at all. I'm like, listen to me, don't listen to me. I just want to play, and yeah. Yeah, no worries. I don't care if somebody's in the front row and they're just loud as hell, and I really could care less. It's entertaining to me.
Well, that's right. So that's your entertainment.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I don't care.
It's
Yeah.
a two-way street.
I can play in the corner. Nobody can even look at me. I don't even care.
It's a question that I like to ask of successful musicians. If you were to talk to a young person right now or somebody just thinking about music as a profession, what do you think you might tell them?
A young person. Well, I'll say maybe specifically if they're young and they're a string player, one thing I will say, I don't think there's enough play in growing up and playing music and classical music. A lot of people, even like people that play in the symphony or something, they're like, how do you play without sheet music, And I'm like, well, how does any band play without sheet music? It's just in our heads, you know what I mean? So, and it's in my head. But in the classical world, if you just slap away, pull the bow across the strings and maybe experiment and get a little bit more personal with your instrument and yourself. And I just think people should play with your instrument more instead of just being so rigid on the page. But that's not for everybody, but I don't really have any advice because as far as like career or anything, I had no idea what to do because when I was younger, I was like, what can I do with this? And they're like, oh, you can be a teacher or you can, play in a symphony. And I was like, well, I don't really want to do that. I don't know what else I want to do, but I kind of want to do something different with it. Nobody could direct me in the right way. And I had to find my way, and it was really strange how it took me far, thinking outside the box. It's not a living, but I had the most amazing life experiences, and I got to go out of the country. I got to, travel and really neat stuff. But young kids, I don't know, play with your instrument. Now, if you're 21 or over, drink a bottle of wine, pull that, bow across the string, and maybe just make some noise. And those instruments are just so beautiful and personal, and you really can, I don't know, have an experience with it that you might not otherwise. And that's not encouraged through learning classical and the way you're brought up with classical music and how rigid and how, it is. So
I think you've really just
have
shared.
fun.
You shared a unique exposure with potential folks who might be considering music. And I like the idea that you converse with your instrument and link the creative mind with the strings.
Thank you.
Jo Bird, it's been a delight talking to you today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jim.
I think we're going to roll out with one of your more recent compositions.
Cool.
Jo Bird, thanks again.
This has been Jim Bratton Podcast. We hope you have enjoyed, been inspired, informed, angered, or otherwise emotionally stimulated. This is your booth announcer, Sierra Sakel.